Hello and welcome to this Astranti video. Now in today's video, which is going to be of particular interest to any students out there sitting the operational case study exam in the upcoming August sitting, we are going to be going over the examiner's interim feedback report for the May 2020 case study exam that CIMA have recently released. So the aim of this video is just to pick out some of the key bits of information that could apply to you if you are sitting your exam in August at OCS level. This is of course the first time that CIMA have done this 6th monthly exam window, so this interim report is something new for us to analyse. And while CIMA aren't going to provide any details about topics or variants that have been covered or were likely to be covered in the August exam, there are still likely going to be some interesting points that we can take from this report. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down from this initial introductory paragraph to the general comments section on page 1. And the first thing that I'd like to pick out from this general introduction into the pre-scene that contains lots of information that we already know about Charge It is this last sentence here, which states that all of the core activities were covered in each variant in line with the OCS blueprint. So we know that CIMA have introduced these core activities for their case study exams in the new 2019 window, and what this comment really highlights to us is that they are looking to test these quite tightly in the exam. You should expect to see each core activity come up in the individual variant that you sit when it comes to the August exam. So really ensuring that your theory knowledge is focused in line with these core activities and you're really confident at addressing all the components that could be covered by these core activities is going to be a crucial part of your revision for August. We also then get some hints about how candidates who did really well in the May exam achieved these high scoring marks. So we're told that candidates focused on answering what had been asked of them in tasks and produced for the most part technically accurate answers. And we're then told that highly successful candidates were crucially able to apply their technical knowledge and understanding to the specific scenarios in the exam and weren't just describing the main points that they've identified within their solutions. Okay, so again, this hits the nail on the head in terms of some of the key things you need to watch out for in terms of your exam technique at OCS level. Firstly, we need to answer the question. Now, this might sound like a really simple thing to say, but it can be very easy to get carried away when writing your solution and answer a question that you've not actually been asked. Okay, so making sure that your answer is very tight to your question requirement is vital here, and good planning will help you do this. And then we also see the importance of technical content within this exam. Because you are a finance officer at OCS level, you are dealing with lower level queries that focus more and test more your technical understanding of accounting topics. And it's therefore really important that you can demonstrate this technical knowledge with a high level of competence, and we see this reinforced here. But crucially, we see that it is really important that you apply this technical knowledge. So we don't just want a recitation of, say, Pete-based theory in the exam. We want you to demonstrate your knowledge of these theories, but we then want you to apply them very tightly to the question requirement and the pre-scene company. Another interesting point in this third paragraph here relates to the presentation of answers. So it seems generally candidates performed well in this area, but we do see specific reference here to the use of headings and subheadings, and also the importance of writing short and to the point paragraphs. Okay, so here just reinforcing the importance of developing a level of structure in your answer and writing really concisely and in a really focused manner, again with this idea of focused answering of the question in mind. Okay, so as well as the technical side of things, as well as applying your technical knowledge, it's really important that you set your answers out in an effective structure and that you write in a focused and effective manner. The next information we have in this document relates to the 6 core activities themselves and how students have performed with them. So I'm just going to scroll down and pick out some of the key points here. So core activity A, of course, relates to key syllabus areas like costing. And some of the key things that we can take out of this relates to the idea of digital environments. Okay, so this was of course a new area of this particular area of the P1 syllabus in the 2019 syllabus update that CIMA released, and so we can quite clearly see here that CIMA is looking to test this new content as part of their case study exams. However, slightly less positively, we see that candidates on the whole seem to struggle to apply professional skepticism and judgment when explaining the impact of changing costing systems and approaches. Okay, so maybe again here we're seeing this issue of application coming up. We don't just need to demonstrate our knowledge of costing systems, we also need to apply them to various scenarios that we are presented with in the pre-scene. Scrolling down to core activity B, here we are dealing with budgeting and associated topics again from P1. And again, while there is some evidence that candidates performed well in May in relation to this topic, what CIMA seem to be telling us here is that in relation to certain budgeting topics, technical knowledge was lacking somewhat. So this is quite a broad area and it is quite a significant activity in terms of weighting, representing between 17 and 25% of your exam. So I think the main thing I would take from this paragraph is the importance of really brushing up and solidifying your knowledge on this key topic. It will be tested in depth, so there is really no excuse for not preparing it properly. Moving down, we do see that some candidates did demonstrate good business awareness in relation to things like forecasting, so maybe in relation to some of the slightly easier topics within this core activity. However, again, this issue of demonstrating professional judgment does seem to come up as another issue. So again, the issue of application seems to be something for you to watch out for and continue to employ in the August sitting. Moving on to core activity C, some of the key activities, some of the key topics within this area, which takes up 17 to 25% of your exam, relate to key performance indicators and variances. Now, we can sort of split our analysis here between these two topics. And what we do see is that candidates seem to have communicated well in regards to variances as a topic. However, at times we see that technical understanding of this topic was lacking. Now again, this is a major topic, variance analysis at P1, and it forms a key part of this major core activity within the case study. So again, there is no excuse for not understanding this area in a significant level of technical detail and then being able to apply this in the actual exam. When thinking about the key performance indicators side of this core activity, we do see actually that candidates performed reasonably well and demonstrated a reasonable understanding of our pre-scene company's business model and its environment, and as a result were able to select and interpret appropriate KPIs. However, again, this technical issue in relation to understanding variances comes up, and again, the application of professional skepticism and business awareness during interpretation of variances is an issue. So again, application, application, application. I feel like I'm repeating myself a little bit, but again, we are seeing the importance of not just demonstrating solid theory knowledge, but also being able to apply this to the various scenarios you are presented with in your exam. Moving on to core activity D and E, we see that in relation to performance regarding core activity D, this was either very good or very poor. Now, from CIMA's point of view, the key issue here seems to be the level of technical knowledge amongst those sitting the exam. So we see that amongst those who have prepared well and revised well for these topics, this was evident in performance. However, again, from the other side of things, where a lack of technical knowledge and understanding seem to be present, this may be indicated that a lack of revision and a lack of knowledge on these topics was present. Okay, so again, taking your time to understand the key topics, the key financial reporting standards, the issues of governance, ethics and tax that form F1 is an important aspect of your revision, although I do understand that this is quite a broad area of the syllabus. Moving on to core activity E, we see again that the quality of answers, like with core activity B, depended on the decision-making topic being tested. And again, here we seem to have a mix of candidates being able to demonstrate the right level of technical knowledge and apply these well in terms of sort of business analysis and business circumstances. And then from the opposite point of view, we also seem to have some candidates who've lacked the technical knowledge, who have not been able to demonstrate their understanding of these topics in the exam questions, okay? So again, making sure that you brush up on the specific technical theory covered by the I can statements under core activity E is another important part of revision. Again, then scrolling down to the next page, we get to the last of our core activities in relation to the topic of working capital. Now, on the whole, this seems to have been a really well addressed topic in the latest exams. CIMA actually say that this was the core activity task with the best answers. So, although this is quite a small topic in your exam, only between 7 and 13% of the weighting, it clearly seems to be a topic actually where you can grasp quite easily and then apply your knowledge quite easily to score good marks in the exam. So potentially an area to capitalise upon in relation to core activity F. So after an analysis of each of the 6 core activities, CIMA then finished the report with some specific comments to candidates. So these points sort of sum up and back up some of the ideas we've been talking about in this video so far. The first one being the need to explain rather than simply describe or identify points. The key to success at OCS level is to be able to demonstrate your knowledge about technical theory, yes, but also crucially explain and analyse this in relation to the preceding company. So we're not simply looking for a technical description of a particular theory like budgeting, for example. We're looking for an explanation and an application of this. This idea is then supported in our second bullet point, where we see that generic textbook style answers score few, if any, marks. And similarly, pre-prepared answers based only on the preceding will limit your mark. Okay? So again, we're not teaching the examiner this accounting content. We are analysing and applying this theory as if we were working for a real life company. And again, this second point here reinforces what we talked about earlier about answering the question. The unseen, by nature, contains new information that you need to analyse. And so if you use pre-prepared answers based just on the pre-seen, then this limits your mark as you're not taking into account and analysing the new material and the new scenarios you're faced with in the exam. Bullet point 3 here focuses on a demonstration and application of your understanding of technical E1 and F1 knowledge. Now, more than any other case study exam, the OCS exam is really focused around you demonstrating this aspect of your knowledge, okay? So, if you do not have this knowledge, you cannot hope to apply it effectively. And this really just reinforces, the importance of theory revision for this exam. And then points 4 and 5 are some quite simple sort of exam related techniques. The first one is to answer all tasks or subtasks. And as CIMA say on the screen here, they cannot reward you if you are missing part of your answer, even if the first part of your answer is excellent, okay? So if there is no rewardable material, then you will get no marks. So ensure that you manage your time effectively and answer questions in full. And then, as we've just been talking about, answer the task. We don't want to answer a question that we would have liked to have answered. We want to answer the question that is specifically put in front of us. Okay, and then the last section of this report focuses around suggestions for those of you who sat this exam in May and didn't pass. So suggestions about improving performance. So, crucially, technical revision. Number 1 on this list. We know that this exam, especially under the new syllabus, is very focused around P1 and F1. So if you don't understand the key technical topics from these areas, you're going to struggle in the exam. So this is a really important aspect of your revision that you need to give an appropriate amount of time to. The second key point here, the second key hint for those of you resitting, is to practice and keep practicing. Okay, and this really helps you in terms of applying the technical knowledge that you have within these exams, but also crucially being able to apply it to the specific pre-seen information that you are provided with, but also allowing you to get used to how examiners phrase tasks, allowing you to then meet these more tightly, and also, crucially, it allows you to practice issues like time management. Now, we are dealing with the first case study exam, so this may only be the first or second time that you've ever sat an exam of this nature. So exam practice is all the more important in this context. Point 3 relates specifically to the exam itself, and I think we can sum it up nicely with this last remark here. Is your answer really answering the task? So as we've talked about several times already, it can be really easy to answer a requirement with a lack of focus, or to answer a slightly different requirement than the one that is actually being answered in the task. Okay, so planning and other similar techniques like this will help you here, but it's really important that you keep in mind what it is you are being asked and you specifically answer that question. Okay, and CIMA then support this idea with a reinforcement of the importance of planning answers. The Astranti OCS study text provides you with a rough time split in terms of the amount of time you should take planning answers and the amount of time you should take writing. So if you don't have access to that text already, that could be a good place for you to go to get a bit more practice in this area. And then in the last 3 points, we have this point of explaining rather than just stating or identifying, a list of points being reinforced. Again, this is the idea of analysis and application above and beyond just sort of a textbook style answer. The importance of then using the information given to you in the exam is reinforced. As the report says here, it is there for a reason. You are supposed to analyse the unseen material and the scenarios surrounding them in the exam, okay? So you really need to make sure that you utilise this and don't just rely on your pre-seen knowledge. And then finally, interestingly, very simple last point here, don't give up. I think in any exam scenario, if you get into the exam, you sit down and you're slightly shocked or slightly surprised by the questions, it's not maybe something that you have answered or you've prepared significantly well for. The key thing is always not to panic and is always not to give up. It may be that you need to take a few minutes just to calm yourself down and steady yourself, but after this, really focus and do the best you can in the circumstances that you are facing. Please don't waste your time by just giving up and assuming that you are going to fail or perform badly. Okay, so there we go. That is the OCS examiner's report for the May sitting. I hope that little sort of analysis has been useful, has supported many of the points you're already aware of in your revision, and has expanded on some of the ideas that CIMA have stated. So all that's left for me to say is just to wish you the best of luck, whether you are sitting this exam for the first time or whether you are resitting from May. We've all got our fingers crossed here at Astranti that things go as well as possible for you and that you get the result that you are hoping for. Thank you for watching today. If there are any other revision needs that you need satisfied, then please head over to the Astranti website where we still have a range of great OCS content available for this specific sitting. Thank you, and I hope to see you in another Astranti video again very soon.